Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, band. Good thing the band's here, otherwise, John would be tiny little Bible study. A couple of things. Hey, where's John sleep?
He's getting his phone.
Okay. Remind me to, or maybe Sam, you could remind me, or Young, that we would sing that song, the second song that we would sing next week. What was it? Yeah. We'll sing that next week. Also, so outreach, which is really kind of, my idea is that we would, John and I were yesterday cruising around the neighborhoods, like scoping things out, like what's here, right around our church, where's going to be our stopping ground, and are there enough houses right around here to really, that we think there's going to be enough kids to field a team so that we can play football in this flag football league. Our conclusion was that it is big enough. If we go between, this is Mayfield right here, right? This kind of ritzy part of this is like a donut in the middle of, a donut hole in the middle of the donut, right? Everything around us is kind of urban, and this is like upscale housing, right? But if you go just over the hill, from there maybe 5 blocks over, and I think it's maybe 5 blocks deep, so it's maybe 5 by 5 blocks. It's all just row houses. And the same thing is true if we start the road, that goes down to Perry Parkway there with the elementary school, past Erdman. If you go there and you go down Hartford Road and then to 33rd Street, or 33rd Ave, Street or Ave, I'm not sure which it is. That also, there's a group of houses. So maybe there's 3,000 homes there. And so there's enough for us. And so my plan is that next week we have these tracts that invite them to EM, right? And of course, this outreach is twofold. One, it's really to get the kids, and we're looking at ages between maybe 12 and 15 years old, kids who really have nothing to do. They are out and about the streets and really have nothing to do. And we will be with them on Saturday mornings, play flag football with them, give them a brief Bible message, get to know them, build them up in who they are, and maybe change their lives forever. It's very possible. But along with the kids is the adult ministry, and I'm most interested in that. And that is that we would also invite people to this service. I think it freaks them out because everybody likes to be amongst their own kind, So to come into a church where there's only one Caucasian and the rest Asian people, if I am an African American person, I don't know how they really take that, but if they're human, then it's more uncomfortable. So it's going to be really a subject of prayer, number one, to kind of break down those barriers, and also just patience on our part. People come, they're going to come, try it, and leave, and over a period of time, they will come and stay, and they will be faithful people who will be involved in, one, the outreach in their own neighborhood, and two, involved in the kids program. Maybe their kids or they themselves will be involved. So that's all going to develop over the next few weeks. But my plan, so what I would like to do is I would like to leave here. I don't know how many are going to be involved, but I would like to leave here at 10:30 on Saturday morning. And I'll lead the outreach, and if it's just me and one, that's okay. Like, I'm not really stressing about having all hands on deck. Let's, just large numbers of people. I think that also will grow. But there's the outreach meeting at 10 o'clock, which I think yesterday, the second part was better. When Pastor Chiavelli spoke, that was the better part yesterday. The first part was maybe a little bit slow moving. It's a leadership part. There's really not so much leader stuff there. But the second part, which starts at 10 o'clock, is good. So I'm going to be there at 10 at Greater Grace. We'll will be there for their outreach meeting, kind of a rah-rah reach out, and then we will leave then we'll be back here about 10:30 and do outreach, and I don't know where we'll start, just pray and pick a place and start, one, giving them an invitation to come here, and two, they'll get a brochure about the football league. And hopefully by September, we'll have a team big enough that we can compete with the other teams. So that's kind of where we're at with that. Are there any questions about that? John, do you have anything to say or subtract, add to? Okay. I'm just believing God that He can use us in this place where we are in this city to make a difference in people's lives. That's why He's put us here. So it's a little bit scary, but also it's exciting, and we walk by faith. So hey, today we're going to talk about faith. Dennis was here for 2 weeks in a row. So 3 weeks ago, we were in the boat. Actually, we were out of the boat with Peter. Right? That was 2 weeks ago. We were out of the boat with Peter. So this week, we're going to talk about Jesus only said 4 times in all of his time here. He said, "You of little faith." But he only said it 4 times. You of little faith. He never said to anyone, "You of no faith." He never said to his disciples, "You guys have no faith." He said, "You have little faith." And there were some other things he said to describe faith. So I'm going to go to Hebrews chapter 11. It is the faith chapter. I'm only going to read one verse that defines in a very, very theological, but it is faith equals verse. So in Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1, it says, "Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen." I'm going to read it in the Amplified. "Now faith is the assurance, the confirmation, the title deed of the things that we hope for, being the proof of things we do not see, and the conviction of their reality. Faith perceiving as real fact what is not revealed to the senses." Right? Faith reveals as fact the things that our senses cannot say is actually fact. With using that as a definition, I want to just take a look at the 4 places where Jesus said, "You of little faith." And we're going to see some aspects of this little faith. Okay, so let's pray. Father, I just ask you to minister to us, illuminate the scriptures to us, and then apply it to each of our lives in every different area that we need it to be applied in. Thank you for bringing us here together. We do pray for outreach in our neighborhood, for the kids in our neighborhood, Lord, and think about their lives and how impactful we could be there through the gospel and through just simply loving and caring for them. So, Lord, now bless our time right now in the Bible. We thank you for it in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, so if you go to Matthew 6:30 with me, if you have a Bible, we will start here. Matthew 6:30. Sermon on the Mount, Jesus is giving some practical instruction about life that's very, very real to us today. In verse 30 he said, "Therefore, if God so clothe the grass of the field, which today is and tomorrow is cast into the oven, shall he not much more clothe you, O you of little faith?" So the first instance of him saying, "You of little faith," happens when he's talking about God is going to take care of us. Is God going to take care of me? And he wasn't saying, "Oh, you of little faith," as a rebuke, like your faith is little, it should be bigger. But he's saying more like, "I understand that your faith is small. I'm prodding you. I'm encouraging you to grow in your faith. I'm encouraging you to think another way. So you of little faith, in this case, he is like gently chiding the spirit of unbelief that will God really take care of me? Will God take care of you? Will God take care of you? What about your future? What about the details of life? Will God take care of you? Oh, you of little faith, if he takes care of the grass of the field, won't he much more take care of you? I think that, when you look at the isms of the world, Hinduism, Buddhism, and then plus Islam, you look at all the isms of the world have a God who is far away, and it's not sure that he cares about me more than he cares about a flower. It's not sure in the isms that God cares about me more. Either I am placed on equal grounds with them, but in all cases, God is far away and he's not close to me. But Jesus is now actually face to face with his disciples and with the multitudes who are listening, and he's saying to them, oh, you of little faith, you have little trust. And the question is not how much trust you have, it's who your trust is in. We'll continue with the next one. Oh, by the way, so in Matthew 6:30, I have 4 by the ways here. In Matthew 6:30, then it's about trusting God's care for you. 3 times in the same portion, verse 25, 31, 34, he says, take no thought, which means don't be anxious, don't be worried about or settled on what's going to happen in the future. God is going to take care of you. So being anxious is a sign of little faith. Okay, being anxious is a sign. There's going to be 4 signs of little faith. Being anxious is one of them. Then in Matthew 16:8, he's feeding the multitude. And the disciples are very, very disturbed. They're reasoning amongst themselves because there's no bread. And the multitude is very hungry. And the Lord turns to them and he said, when Jesus perceived it, he said, oh, you of little faith, why do you reason among yourselves because you have brought no bread? Why are you reasoning amongst yourself? Is it because you didn't bring any bread and you're worrying about all these people being fed? I think about, when you think about 3,000 homes right around this church, and we say, Lord, they are hungry. They need something. And we don't have it. Like, we don't have it. What are we going to give them? Because I don't feel adequate enough. I don't feel like I can do it. And the Lord says, oh, you of little faith. Is it because you feel weak? Is it because you feel like you don't know what you're going to say to people? Is it because of these things that you're reasoning about, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? Oh my gosh, I'm so afraid or I'm so anxious about it. So reasoning without God in the equation is another sign of little faith. So trusting God to care for us, and then trusting God to care for those that we are caring for, right? Which is what the situation with the disciples. The third instance is there's 2 times, once in the boat and once on the water. Right? We looked at on the water, and we had just mentioned in the boat. Jesus was asleep in the boat. Remember that. This is in Matthew chapter 8, verse 26. He was in the boat. They are freaking out. They wake him up and they say, Master, don't you know that we are perishing? And he said to them, why are you fearful, O you of little faith? Then he arose, rebuked the winds and the sea, and there was a great calm. O you of little faith. Why was their faith little? Their faith was little because Jesus was right there in the boat. He is the very person of God in the boat with them, and yet they were fearful with him in the boat. So, number 3 then, fearing the future, or fearing death especially, is a sign of little faith. Is Jesus in your boat? And the answer is, yes, he is in my boat. He is present, he is personal, he cares for me, he is powerful, and he wants to do good to me. So therefore, where is the fear? 1 John 4:18 says that love casts out fear. When I know that Jesus is in the boat and I know that he loves me, then I'm not afraid to be in the boat, even though the boat could be in trouble. So fearing the future is a sign of little faith. So we have trusting God's care for you, and then being anxious is a sign of little faith. Trusting God's care for those you are caring for, and then reasoning without God is a sign of little faith. And then trusting Christ's love for you, his power, and his intention for you, fearing the future is a sign of little faith. And then finally, what we just read in the last, or studied in the last 2 weeks before Dennis, was Matthew 14:31. And you remember, immediately Jesus stretched forth his hand, caught him. It was Peter who was sinking. Right? He was on the water, he was sinking, and Peter cried out to the Lord. Immediately the Lord stretched forth his hand, caught him, and said, "O you of little faith, wherefore did you doubt?"